Hi, everyone. In this PowerPoint, I'm going to talk about two things: why we're doing a compare-contrast analysis assignment and why we are writing about Hmong history and culture. And compare-contrast analysis is a very useful writing strategy. It's one of those what we call rhetorical modes like narration, description, illustration, etc. It's a particular kind of writing, and it is useful for making decisions and helping your readers make decisions, for evaluating things and helping your readers evaluate things, and for enhancing your own understanding about something and enhancing your readers' understanding about something. It's something that you're going to use in both your personal and professional life. And as a brief definition, comparing means identifying similarities between two or more things. Contrasting means identifying differences. And here's an example of how a compare-contrast analysis can help us make a decision. So let's imagine that I would like to buy a house. And house A reminds me of my grandmother, and I just have cozy, loving memories as soon as I step over the threshold of that house. And it also has a new roof and a great porch. Now, house B, on the other hand, has a paved driveway and a basketball hoop, and I'm excited about that. And it's got 2 bedrooms, which is what I want, and it's close to work. So which house should I buy? Now, at this point, you're probably thinking this woman is not ready to buy a house. I need to do a compare and contrast analysis. So let's try this again. In this case, I have, prior to looking at the 2 houses, decided what matters to me, my criteria. And in the case of your essay, you're not going to have criteria, but you're going to have points of comparison. I'm going to take my criteria, I'm going to apply it to house A, and I'm going to apply it to house B to see what results I get. You're going to take your points of comparison and you're going to look at one culture and those same points of comparison, and then look at the other culture using the same points of comparison. And to do this, you need to decide what's important here, just like I did in this house situation. But even then, even now I've got my handy little chart filled out, I still need to make some decisions and do some analysis because this is not giving me a black and white answer. A has some advantages, B has some advantages, and here's where the analysis comes in. Here's where, in making a decision, I decide what's critical and has to be right on target, or what deviations I'm willing to live with, what deviations from my criteria I'm willing to live with. And so come up with this idea that both of these houses are big enough. One's got 2 bedrooms, one's got 3, and I only needed 2. They're both close enough to work, 5 miles, 10 miles, not a big difference, and they're both in good condition. Now, the differences are the cost. One's a little more expensive, and how the house makes me feel. And I have decided ultimately to buy house B because not only is it lower cost, that's a biggie, and the most important one I've realized as a result of making this analysis is how it makes me feel. So a compare-contrast analysis is more than just a ping-pong ball comparing A to B, A to B, A to B. It does involve reflection and analysis about what ultimately is important in making a decision. Now, it also helps you make an evaluation. Here's an example of that. Which employees are eligible for merit raises? We don't need to make a decision choosing one employee over another. They can all have a raise, or none of them can have a raise. But we just have to make an evaluation of them. So here we go. Joe is funny. He's got a good work ethic, and he's a snappy dresser. Lee is great with customers, brings good food to office potlucks, and has more education. And Arthur brings his wonderful dog to work, is always willing to work overtime, and has been here the longest. So imagine you're in a meeting of supervisors, and you need to decide who's going to get the merit raises. Let's vote. Now, if you're a human resource person right now, you're probably clutching your heart and saying, oh, no, 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 no. We really need to have some criteria to apply to each of these people, and that's going to help us make our evaluation. And finally, compare-contrast analysis helps us understand things, and that's going to be the focus of your particular essay. So here's some examples of how comparing and contrasting can help us reach some level of understanding. Help me understand what the new job will be like. Compare it to my current job. Contrast it with my current job. I'm going to be a better employee if I understand those differences and similarities. Or imagine that you are a physician and you say to a patient, describe your pain to me. What does it feel like? Well, pain's one of those abstract words that you have to compare to something in order to explain. And so the physician is going to ask the patient to compare the pain to something, or to contrast the pain to something. And then here's an example of how it might help, in a personal situation. I'm feeling anxious again. When was the last time I felt this way? What were the triggers then? And how does that compare to what's happening in my life right now? I'm going to write down some things that are similar. That's going to help me realize that certain patterns make me feel anxious. That'll help me manage them. What things are different now? That's going to give me a whole new set of information. So personal analysis can be aided by compare-contrast. And finally, and here's the point of your paper, imagine saying to somebody of a different culture, I want to understand and appreciate you better. How does your history compare to mine, and how has that shaped you? And that's where we come to talking about, or rather writing about, a different culture. Now, why are we writing about the Hmong? The Hmong are the largest minority group in our area, in the La Crosse area. They're co-workers and neighbors. And of course, we're all going to have better communication and teamwork if we understand and appreciate each other. And you may be Hmong, and I'm sure that you feel the same way if you have a better understanding and appreciation of people who are not of the Hmong culture. Secondly, you will all be working in a globalized world and writing for globalized audiences that are not like you in some ways and that are like you in other ways. And understanding other cultures will really help you fine-tune your level of audience analysis, which is what every good writer needs to do. Another reason that we're writing about the Hmong, frankly, is it's a story that a lot of people don't know, and that's a problem. That's a problem with our history books. And finally, understanding the Hmong will help break down stereotypes and prejudice and discrimination, and the Hmong have certainly felt their share of that. So that's the rationale for this assignment, and now we'll move on to how do we do it.